Welcome to Shaping with Custom Rides. We're going to make the bottom of a fender for 67 GTO or Lemans, and this is the blank that I've cut from my pattern, and these are the edges that will be folded over 90 to create the wheel lip here, the mounting flange here, and the return to the dog leg back here. And this line is the division of the two different radiuses. It's a 12-inch radius down here, and it's a reverse 6-inch radius here up to the body line. So what we'll do first is just stab it in the wheel with a couple rollerblade wheels just to bend that radius to start with. And here's a 6-inch radius, and that's how far we've got to go on that little return. So we'll stab it in there and put that in there. And since that's a reverse, that has to be in there upside down. And this happens pretty quick because the rollerblade wheels just let the pressure push the lower anvil up into the material. And I can't really overdo it because it will only produce that 6-inch radius. So right there's close enough for what we're going to do. We're going to put this in our Pullmax type machine and true this up. So I'm going to stop there, anvil real quick, and do the 12-inch radius, which again will go pretty fast. And I can throw a lot of pressure at this because I just cannot overdo it with these rubber wheels. I'm not stretching it, I'm not shrinking it, I'm just bending it. So right there is pretty close. Now we're going to run it through the Pullmax type machine and true this up and put a little bit of a body line in there. Here's the dies I made. I just profiled them from the car, and they're just 1/2-inch steel plate with a little bit of a lead-in ground into them, so it's easier to get it in there. And these little rollers, I have the distance set for my backstop, so I'll run the machine out a little bit. Reduces a lot of die marks, and just doesn't get snagged up in the machine as easily. Just a little bit's all it takes, and as long as I keep the panel, if I put it in there the right way, as long as I keep the panel engaged in the stop, it'll make the right profile and it'll put the body line in it for us. So we'll fire it up. Okay, that's trued up our 6-inch radius. And I've put a couple little die marks in here, but nothing terrible. We'll tip these edges here real quick. but that started our body line right there. But we'll get to tipping these edges, and it doesn't look like anything. It looks like a flat sheet with some weird humps in it, but I bend these edges down and it'll really take shape. And now over to our OSHA approved feed roller with the exposed chain drive. We'll get our speed and pressure set on a piece of scrap. I want just enough pressure to leave just a little bit of a line, so it'll bend right on that line. So I'll follow my line from my pattern. And see, that's left a little line on there, but that edge has to go that way. I can't lever it down in the machine, so I've got a line to follow, and I'll lift up on this just a little bit as I go to make my new edge. Follow the line that was put on there, and that line, you can't feel it, it's just a little shiny mark. You don't want to put enough pressure on a panel that it strikes that edge. You want just enough to put a little bit of a mark on there. And usually it takes about 3 trips to get tipped to 90 without uglying it up real bad. There's 2. Now we'll lever it up pretty hard this pass. Seeing that only wants to bend where we've put that mark, and you can see it's pulled it flat there and there, but we'll address that here in a minute. We'll go across this one last time, then we'll straighten a little bit of that wreckage from tipping this edge with a Lancaster type shrinker and stretcher. Do the other side, the return to the dog leg. Just put a shiny mark on it for us to see on the back side. And there's our mark. So we'll start tipping this return, real gentle at first. And I know somebody's thinking right now, why don't I bend this in a brake? Well, I would, but these lines are not straight. And if I tried to incrementally bend them by taking fingers out of the brake, I would just have a great big mess to deal with trying to straighten all that out. stop and think about it, if you've ever seen anybody tip an edge, this is a lot to throw over. And it's kind of to be expected to have a little bit of wreckage throwing a whole inch flange up, but we'll fix that here really quick. Okay, you can see this looks like it's bulged this way. Well, since we've bent it here and here, it's taken all of the shape out of right there. So we'll put it in a Lancaster shrinker to pull this metal together and recontour that. With one of these little machines, patience is a virtue, because if you get real carried away, they work real well, but the thing is, you get real carried away and it'll wad stuff up and leave kind of a pucker on the outside surface where the metal's been shrunk too much. So just give him a little squish as we go to straighten that curve out. And as you can see, I go pretty shallow in the jaws, then I go deeper. What I'm doing, this outside edge, if I run 3 passes through here, I need 3 times the shrink on the very outside edge. So each pass, that outside edge gets shrunk twice, just to kind of contain that shape. Now you can see this part